Hello, everybody. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining. We're going to go ahead and get started. It is that time. I can see some folks still funneling in, so we're going to kick it off here. We're so grateful that you're joining us today. Today, we're going to be talking about supercharging MadCap Flare and your workflow with the AI Helper plugin. So if you are ready to transform how you work in Flare, then buckle up. I think we're going to have some fun. And I am so excited to introduce Matthias Sander today, who is the founder of Improvementsoft. Yeah, Matthias is a fabulous Flarian and makes amazing plugins. If some of you have never, I know he'll introduce himself in his website, but if you visit improvementsoft.com, you'll see a number of Flare plugins that he's developed over the years. What is it? What is the expression? Necessity is the mother of invention. And you've come up with some amazing things. If you haven't downloaded or checked out any of the plugins, I'd encourage you to do so. I use them. My team uses them. They can save a lot of time. So they're fabulous. And I'm really excited to have Matthias here talking about the AI helper plugin. So specifically today. And I think we'll have a little bit of a surprise at the end, Matthias, as you mentioned. So we're excited to take a look at what you got. So with that, before we jump in, I just have two items of business that I'd like to cover. First, this webinar is going to be recorded. If you have to pop out early, not a problem. We will send you a link to the recording as soon as it's done and registered. I'd also encourage all of you to use the Q&A area of Zoom. I hope you can all find that. Please use this as a place to ask questions during the presentation today. We'll try to get to them all. If we don't get to them all live, not to worry. We'll be following up with an answer. So please use that as a place to post questions. Hopefully you can find that. And we look forward to those as we go. So Matthias, welcome. I know you have a lot to cover today. I'm so excited that you're here. Everybody's excited that you're here. So I'll go ahead and turn it over to you.
Thanks, Jen. Thanks for that introduction. It's good to be here today. I have some exciting things to share with you. So first off, my name is Matthias Sander. I run Improvementsoft, and I'm in my second decade of using MadCap Flare now. It's a scary thought, but there we go. I hope to for many more decades to come. So starting off, I just wanted to plug some of the other plugins that we're not going to talk about today. For example, the free Kaizen plugin, which is a tool with over 40 automation tools to help you do stuff in Flare. So if you're not using this already, it's free. Just head on over to the website, improvementsoft.com, and give it a try. Also, not free, but maybe even better than the Kaizen plugin, the Mad Quality plugin. Never ship broken docs again. Instant QA from MadCap Flare. You can catch errors before they go live. Again, free trial at Improvementsoft. Check it out. So, well, let's go back to the show, or let's start it. So maybe your manager has told you, or maybe you are the manager, that you got to use AI to speed up your documentation. So you open up ChatGPT or Copilot, you copy something from Flare, you paste it in, maybe everything didn't come through, you move back to Flare, now the formatting is gone, your variables are gone, your snippets are gone, you're spending work that the tool should do. So what if I told you that this process can actually work safely, cleanly, without any special magic, except for the AI helper plugin? So the main problem here is that there is friction going from the chatbot to Flare. It's far from seamless. And you might be tied to using, a chatbot that's dictated by your company because of security. You can't just go anywhere and use any chatbot. You can't build an integration into Flare because that would require years of work and mountains of paperwork. So the AI helper, and this is important, it doesn't bring AI into Flare. It creates a bridge between Flare and AI. So you can get Markdown, HTML from Flare, and then proper Flare topics back. So let's take a look. And at the end of this presentation, there will be a surprise. And I also want to take this time to apologize to any fellow Scandinavians. I'm from Sweden, for what I'm about to do a few slides down. Anyways, let's do a demo, because that's the way, that's why you're here. So you're going to watch me work without the cursing. So let's go ahead. So I I wanted to use AI because I heard it was great, right? And it is, it's fantastic. It's like magic. And then I wanted to use it in Flare and everything fell apart. I couldn't get anything to work really. So that's when I built the AI helper plugin. So I'm going to show you a few workflows, just how I would use it, and just to show you how it works, the ins and outs, and a few bonus tricks. So one of the most powerful use cases is going from taking a transcript from, for example, a demo meeting, a sprint demo, and turn that into documentation, for example, a release note. So right now you're seeing Flare, and the project I have open is an old version of the Raspberry Pi documentation. I'm not connected to them in any way. I love their products, but their doc repo was public, so I converted it to Flare, and this is what I'm going to show you today with some real examples here. So I have extracted a transcript from a YouTube video talking about Raspberry Pi and the new hardware image signal processor. So this would be a stand-in for a Teams transcript. So what I would do to turn this into a release note is I would copy the transcript, move over to ChatGPT, paste it in, leave some space at the top here for my magic prompt. And then I have prepared the prompt here. Let's see. So I'm saying write release notes from this transcript, keep the technical details, but make it concise. So let's see what we get. Hopefully something good. It's starting. Great. It's funny how fast you go from thinking, hey, this AI business, it's magic. This is fantastic to why is it taking so long? So, but there's going to be a bit of waiting here. I'll try to keep you entertained in the meanwhile. So it's building something here, writing out a release note. I'm not sure about the heading levels. This looks smaller than this one. There's a source. I don't need that maybe. So usually you got to do a few prompts before you get the end result. So I'm going to tell it to use and I can't spell, appropriate heading levels, no commentary, no source, make it shorter. All right. So usually you need a couple of prompts to go down to get the result that you want. But I'm going to share with you another trick that lets you take this conversation, 5 or 6 prompts, and turn that into a single prompt that you can use to get this result with just one simple prompt. All right, so here we have a topic, a new release note topic. So I'm going to copy this and go back into Flare just to show you how I would do this before the AI helper. I would go to File, New. I would say Release Note. Perfect. Create a new topic. I would remove whatever's in here, and then I would paste this in. Whew, you can see what happened to the formatting. Looks so nice in ChatGPT, but now I get this markdown formatting. That's no good, so I'm going to spend some time. Heading 1. This is a heading 2. Okay, this is also a heading 2. I'm feeling frustrated already, and I need to remove this because this should be bold. All right, and then I spend a lot of time cleaning this up. Great, but what if I sort of in that process find that, oh, I need to go back to ChatGPT and do some, or Claude or Copilot, it works with anything, and do some more stuff. Then I would have to repeat this process again. And sure, you can do some clever macros probably to make this happen, but man, this is frustrating. So, and this is my first experience working with AI and Flare. So I wanted to create a better way to do this. I'm going to go back here and say copy, go to the AI helper tab and click new topic, no, create topic. And I'm going to call this release note AI. And that's going to take the content on my clipboard, which is Markdown, and convert it to a proper Flare topic. You know, that was easy, not bad. So this is the way you can go from chatbot to Flare easily. So that's great. But then I promised you, because we did a bit of back and forth here in the dialogue, I said that maybe there's a way we can do this in one shot, and there is, because we can sort of reverse engineer this prompt. So we're going to ask ChatGPT to take this prompt or this dialogue and create a single prompt that would give me the end result immediately. So this is a super clever trick that saved me hours, so I wanted to share it with you. So now it gives me some instructions. You're giving a long technical document, write a concise release note based on it, and so on. So it gives me all the requirements that I put into this dialog. It gives me. Great. Let's save this for later. What else can you do? Well, you could take an existing topic and maybe you want to rewrite it based on a style guide. So the way I would do this before the AI helper is I would select all, copy this, go to ChatGPT, and then paste it in. And you can see that it's just a single block of text, right? And there are some things missing too, like the first sentence here. The Linux kernel accepts a command line of parameters where Linux kernel and command line are variables. But we can't see them here because they disappeared, just as the something accepts a something of parameters during boot. So that's not great, right? We need something better. Again, back to the AI helper, we can copy this topic as Markdown and paste that in. Then we get the heading levels, we get the code samples, we get the bullet lists, all of that good stuff. And I'm going to pick my prompt from here. I want to rewrite this using the Microsoft Manual of Style. So rewrite this text. Okay, cool. All right. Okay, so it's giving me the rewrite, but it's also giving me some commentary up top. Here's the text rewritten and so on. Gives me the text, and then it asks me, would you like me to apply some other formatting? So I got to ask it, return just the document without commentary. All right, then it gives me this. So there's some time to be saved by doing the prompting right to begin with. Also, maybe it goes without saying, but check the quality, whatever comes out of the chatbot, right? There's no way around that, unfortunately. So I copied the new topic here, and I'm going to click the replace topic button in the AI helper, and that's going to replace my topic with the rewrite. But you can see there are no, I mean, there's the text that used to be a variable here, but it's not a variable anymore. So how do you do that? Well, you can do this using Flare's analysis functionality, but that's just way too many clicks for my taste, but it works. So you can click this button here, apply variables. You can pick the variable sets that you want to use. Pops up a window. You click apply variables again, and it applies the variables for you. And there is a similar feature for applying snippets. In this case, I don't have any snippets, but it works. I can open the window just to show you. It works the same way. All right, so now we went from a topic, rewrote it in ChatGPT using the Microsoft Manual of Style, and then back to Flare again. Pretty fast, right? So what you also could do is you could have your own style guide. So you could create a prompt that uses your style guide and rewrites a topic based on that. Fast and easy. All right, let's try something else. So here's a paragraph. It's a bit long for my taste. Again, without the AI helper, I would just copy this and I would lose the Raspberry Pi variable. But now I select the paragraph and I click copy selection as Markdown. I can go back to ChatGPT, paste it in here, leave some space at the top, and get my prompt again. So I want to shorten the text, but keep the technical meaning. Return only text, no commentary. Move commentary, no commentary. And let's see what we get back. Okay, looks shorter. Good enough for me. I'm just going to copy it and go back here and say, select this thing again and say replace selection. So good, when we got the new shorter text, great. And before you ask, yes, you can track changes. You got to do it from the options menu and click track changes, and that will track the changes for you. There are also some advanced options that I won't go into, where you can map styles. For example, if something's bold in Markdown, you can apply a span GUI style or something in your Flare project when you paste it automatically. All right, so there's that. What else? What else can we do? Well, we could correct grammar and structure. For example, here's a topic that I may have written or not written. So it says the Raspberry Pi have many of different stages of booting. This makes my head hurt, and English is not my first language. So let's do a rewrite of this. I'm going to copy this topic here. Again, you know the drill. Paste it into the chatbot. Still, there's a lot of copy pasting, but that's actually a faster way to do this, but I'm going to show you later. And I'm going to copy the prompt here. Correct grammar and structure. Don't change meaning. Return only document, no commentary. So let's see what we come up with here, or the AI magic. All right, so it's rewritten this. The Raspberry Pi has several different stages of booting. That sounds much better. So let's copy this, go back to Flare and click replace topic. Good. Now we've got a wonderful topic. So do you need to know English anymore? Not sure. We'll see. All right. So, but moving on to something maybe slightly more serious. So here's a topic, PXE tools. It says we have created a Python script okay. So I want to take this text here, copy the selection, go back to the browser, paste it in here. All right. Back to Flare and say, okay. So let's see. Right. Come on, let's see. Make this sound Swedish. Don't change the language. Let's see what happens. Because I mentioned I'm from Sweden. Okay. Okay, good. Note this text is still in English, but phrased as written by a Swede. Wow, it's impressive. All right, I'm going to go ahead and replace it. Good. All right, and let's see. Well, if I read it now, it says, we have created a Python script that we use internally to quickly set up Pis for network boot. So it looks like it works. And also, sorry, my Scandinavian friends. Anyways, you can do all sorts of things with AI, and the AI helper makes it easy to do it in Flare. But now, actually moving on to a serious workflow here. What if I have a bunch of topics in my Flare project and I want to use maybe 4 or 5 or 6 of them to write something new? I'd have to go in each topic here and click copy topic to Markdown, go back to my chatbot, maybe do, well, we could do a new chat, I suppose. Here we go. New chat. Here we go. Okay, good. Temporary chat, good. Okay, and paste it in. And then I'd have to go back to Flare, pick the new topic, copy, and that's good and fair and all of that. But I sort of wish there was an easier way to do this. So now we're into not only working with AI in Flare, transferring seamlessly, but also working faster within the plugin itself. So there's a feature called Search and Compile. I'm open to new suggestions for naming this. This is, so I'm going to search for camera here to pull up all the topics that have the word camera. And I'm going to pick the ones that are about configuration, add them to the list here. And you see there's a button down here that says copy as markdown. And that takes all of these files and copies them to my clipboard as markdown. So now I have a markdown version of all of these topics here. So what if I wanted to take this? Yeah, it's a long text. Let me close this down. Maybe I want to combine all these topics, write something new based on this, right? So let's see. Write a new topic combining all existing content about configuring cameras. Merge any overlapping steps and remove redundancy. Okay, let's see. Again, looking at that blinking dot that used to be magic, but now it's just pure frustration. It's thinking. All right. I've considered doing that at times, thinking, but I'm not sure about it yet. Let's see. All right. Thought for 10 seconds. That was fast. So it wrote a new topic, Raspberry Pi camera, one clear guide, hardware, connect it right the first time. Loving that title. Not too keen on the numbering though. So remove the heading numbering. I guess it's called. Use the Microsoft manual of style. Let's see if it can do this. If we get something more serious and usable in Flare. Again, it's thinking, and so am I. Or I'm not thinking, I'm just talking with the AI. That's what I do most days. All right, Raspberry Pi camera, one clear guide. Okay, we got the numbering disappeared, so that's great. Okay, cool. So we got a new topic here based on that. Super. Now let's create a new topic here based on that. So create topic. Here we go. And let's call it configuring cameras. Good. And create it from the markdown I had on the clipboard. So I get one topic here, which is great. But what if maybe I spend some time, I do this sometimes, talking with the chatbot, creating these long documents. And then I paste it into Flare as a topic or import it using the plugin. And then I need to split this up into topics. Oof, that's going to take me some while to create these new files and copy paste and so on. Of course, for those of you who are using the Kaizen plugin, there is a feature called split topics. And the same feature is also in the AI Helper plugin. So I can click split by heading 2, and that's going to create individual files for each subheading and a TOC that I can just copy paste into my user manual or anything like that. So it takes the heading 2s and turns them into heading 1s and takes all the text from that section and puts it into a new topic, links and everything. So you see, it's super easy. We could go in and write along, or write. Are we really writing? We could compose, or I don't know, vibe write a long document, paste it into Flare, make sure everything's correct, right? And split it into topics. So that's great. Do we have anything else we want to? Well, you wouldn't know, but I had an idea before going into this. Well, yeah. All right. So what about all these prompts that we've created? We've made this awesome prompt that we're using over and over and over again, but we still need to go to some tool, copy, paste it in, and compile all this stuff. Well, there is a feature for that in the AI Helper as well. So if I look at this topic here, well, I can use any topic, but there's a button called Edit Templates. And here's a bunch of prompt templates. The plugin comes with a few. They're not great, so you got to create your own. But for example, I sort of like a few of these, like shorten this as much as possible, return XHTML, don't remove variables or conditions. I like this. And so we've talked about getting stuff from Flare to Markdown into the chatbot. What about using HTML? When would you do that? Well, that's if you, for example, have something like conditions. So if you have a word with a condition, or you have complex variable setup and you want to keep the variables as they are, if I were to copy this part here, we have a condition, a few variables. If I copy this as Markdown and paste it into the chat, you can see that I get the condition. So I get sort of a mix of conditional text and Markdown. But in some cases, I want to have this as XHTML. So I'm going to copy it as XHTML. And now I got everything, the paragraph tags, the condition tags, the variable tags. So if you want to retain that, if you have a complicated conditional setup, you can still process this in using your AI. So shorten this, return valid XHTML, don't remove variables or conditions. So let's see what we get back. Hopefully something amazing. Again, with the frustration, this took 5 seconds. What's going on? Oh, it's thinking. So, and also it's worth noting that when you have XML, you have the tags take up a lot of space. I mean, in any given topic, especially if you publish it, you get maybe 30 or 40% longer, more text. This is interesting when you're using your topics for feeding them into a chatbot, but more about that later. Okay, so I got the thing back. I'm going to copy it and select the paragraph here and say replace selection. And that's going to replace the selection with a shorter text, but you can see it kept the condition, kept the variables. So that's a neat way of working with sort of complex structures. Back to editing the templates. So if I wanted to do this without doing the copy paste back and forth. I could pick this one here. It says shorten this as much as possible. Return XHTML. Don't remove variables or conditions. Sort of what I just wrote. And you can see down here, there's a $ and selection. So that's going to take the current selection I have in my topic and copy the prompt and the selection to my clipboard. So I could now select this, go to generate prompt and pick shorten, click generate. Super. And that's going to put everything on my clipboard in one go. So now we've saved even more time. I mean, how much time is there to save? Yeah, well, I think we're all going to invent more work to do, right? When we save time, we invent something new to do. So that's a way to improve this prompting process even further. You can see okay, it's thinking more, but let's skip this for now. So we've talked about, and you can, edit templates. So you can import and export these templates. So if you've developed a good set of templates that you can use within your team, you can import and export as you like here. And I also want to say that this AI helper, it's a living product, and there are a handful of hardcore dedicated users that deliver a lot of useful feedback. So there are updates and new features every week, sometimes, or every month at least. All right. So my final item here, it says surprise. I'm going to go back to the slide. So we talked about release notes from a transcript, rewriting text, super, correct grammar. We did that. And also, I mean, with all the time I spent, I saved using AI, I could spend trying to develop this awesome image for my slide, right? So I wanted to take some time and show it. All right. Done this, prompt templates, reverse engineering prompts. You remember that prompt where you ask ChatGPT or Copilot to summarize the discussion and create a new prompt that you can reuse the next time. But also there is a surprise. LLMs.txt, the long game. What's that about? Well, we just looked at working with AI, but what about preparing your docs for AI consumption? How about publishing stuff to AI chatbots? That's also pretty important. Because they need to understand the documentation if we're going to use it that way. So there's this idea or suggestion for a standard. It's called LLMs.txt. It's not my invention. There's a site, LLMs.txt.org, I think. It's sort of like robots.txt, but instead of telling crawlers what not to read, it tells AI what to read. So it's a simple markdown file that lives in the root of your HTML project. With essentially a table of contents of all the files that you have with descriptions of each file. So that file is fed to the chatbot, and then the chatbot can pick the relevant topics, insert them into this discussion to give you the appropriate right answer. So this is how you make your documentation future ready. And the surprise is that if you get the AI Helper plugin, you get this for free. So the LLMs.txt tab, you get the AI Helper tab and the LLMs.txt tab. And what it allows you to do is to generate LLMs.txt file. And also what it does, it generates a markdown sibling to each of your topic files so that you remove this XML bloat, if you will, so that you don't have to feed that extra 30 or 40% into the chatbot, saving you tokens and money. So let's give this a try and see what happens. So I'm going to build this target here. And I really like watching this progress bar here. Even more than the black dot on ChatGPT. This is way more satisfying. But let's see, should be quick. Yeah, good. All right. Missing cross references. How did I miss that? If only I had a plugin like the Mad Quality plugin to check issues like this. Anyways, all right, let's open the output folder and see what we got. So in the root folder, we have a file now. Oh, sorry, I haven't generated the LLMs.txt. I'm so forgetful. All right, go to the AI helper. Sorry, the LLMs.txt tab. Even I'm confused and I have all these tabs. And click Generate LLMs.txt. Pick the output folder, HTML5. Click OK. And that's going to put the LLMs.txt in the root and create markdown file siblings for each of the HTML files. So let's do that. And it's pretty fast. And go back to the output here. Now we can see that in addition to the default HTML file, we have LLMs.txt, which is essentially a TOC. divided with by markdown headings here. So we have Raspberry Pi documentation, we have all the configuration topics, the Raspberry Pi hardware, and it's all titled the Raspberry Pi docs. And also there's a description here. Matthias was here. That's me, by the way. So if you feed this, let's give this a try. If I can copy all of this, hopefully it's not too long. And let's do a new chat here, and let's do the temporary one. I want to know about configuring cameras. Pick the top 3 topics for me. Yeah, something like that. So you, of course, no one would paste this into, but this would work in the background if you're feeding your docs to a chatbot. Okay, so it found this. This is the foundation. This explains what's the camera module. All right, so it found these topics, and in the a real implementation, it would have fetched those into this retrieval-augmented generation to answer the question that the user of your help site would have had. So that's cool. And in the content folder, each topic has a markdown sibling. So instead of, well, this is just a title apparently. Let's see if we can get something a bit better. README. Oh, I opened the HTML file, so that's good. But this, so you get a markdown file, which has a lot fewer XML tags generally. Anyways, that's LLMs.txt. And if we look at the LLMs.txt file here, you can see that each topic has a description. So if the file name is README, and the plugin pulls the title from the file so that it knows what the topic is about. But you can do even better because you can add a description to each topic. So you can say, hey, this topic, wait, what am I thinking here? Of course, that's not the way to do it. The solution is always more AI. So I'm going to copy this topic, go to ChatGPT, write a 1-paragraph summary of this topic. All right. I found that, yeah, whenever conversation key not found. Okay. Can we try that again? Nope. Can we try a new topic? Well, this is the nightmare, of course. How do you get any work done when AI is not available? Summarize into 1 paragraph. All right. Good. To set up Raspberry. Okay. It's a bit long. Sorry, I meant 1 sentence. Forget about please. Let's save some energy there. Okay. So we can copy this and add the description to the topic here. Add description. Save this. And that's going to add metadata to the topic, which will show up in the LLMs.txt file. So you can go do a small summary of the file, and it ends up in the meta tag here, the description tag. So that is sort of one of the big surprises, or the big surprise that you get this for free. You can publish documentation to Markdown. Oh, yeah, I forgot to mention, you can also generate a complete Markdown target. So if you pick the output here, the HTML5, and say, okay, then you put a folder, it's called Raspberry Markdown Output, and you publish this. It generates a pure Markdown output. So just the LLMs.txt file and Markdown files, and of course any image files that you might have. So this could be useful not only for LLMs.txt, but also other things. And if you've been curious about the Markdown plugin, which does sort of this, you get that baked into this for free at a lower price than the Markdown plugin costs. So maybe I'm bad at business. Anyways, one more thing, there's a built-in Markdown editor. So if you want to do some work in Markdown in the AI helper for whatever reason, you can do work in Markdown, and then you can save this as a topic file, or you can just paste text in and save it as a topic file. So that's not, is that all? That could be all. It's not, I was saying it's not a lot, but it is a lot. So yeah, I talked about LLMs. So, all right. This is what, before we open up for Q&A, this is what you get. I mean, you get a friction-free round trip between Flare and AI. You have this self-improving workflow using the prompts and the prompt templates. And you get like future-ready documentation with the LLMs.txt functionality, faster writing, less cleanup, almost zero waste. That's what the AI Helper plugin delivers. Now, you can get a free trial from improvementsoft.com. And if you just want to jump into buying it, how much is it? It's $99 per year per user. So depending on how much work you do, you're going to save, I mean, the return on investment on this thing, a day, 2 days a week, 2 weeks max, right? It sort of sells itself. So get the plugin. It works with the tools that you already have, ChatGPT, Copilot, Claude, whatever you like, or whatever you have to use. Because using AI shouldn't break your process. It should make it flow. And now it does. So with that said, there might be a few questions that have come in.
Yeah, so thanks, Matthias. That was great. I loved your AI picture of ABBA and all the fun Swedish people. That was fun. Okay, fantastic questions come in. Let me just kind of run through some here. I would love to hear more about how this can work. I know you covered this, but maybe just talk a little bit, because this question was asked a few ways, and so inquiring minds want to know. I would love to hear more about how this can work with our own style guide. Does this style guide need to be in a particular format? How do I set my AI up to know where and what it is? Can you talk a little bit about that? We had a few questions like that about, hey, my style guide, how does this work? How can I make myself more efficient here?
Yeah, of course. That's a great question. So usually what I do if I work with a client and they have a style guide, I go to the chatbot and I upload the PDF file of the style guide if I have one, or I get another format. And usually I ask it to the AI to summarize the style guide and turn it into a prompt that I can use to use for the purpose of that. So if I'm writing something new, use the style guide for writing something new. If I'm editing something, use it to edit, right? But usually the style guides are super long, or in a few cases, and you might just want to use a few items there. So taking that style guide and turning it into prompts, that's the way to go. And using, of course, the answer is use more AI. So ask ChatGPT or Copilot to help you out there. Also, it's a service that I offer, so feel free to email me about it. But I hope that answers your question. That's how I would do it.
Thanks. And kind of a follow-up, another couple questions came in about, you've been using ChatGPT, but any would work, right? If Copilot is the company standard, right? If one cannot use a public, AI, would Copilot be fine? Claude, whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Copilot works, Claude works, any sort of in-house internal AI works. The key thing is that it's a chatbot and it delivers markdown content. And I haven't seen one yet that does not do that. So it works with everything. Yeah.
Great, thank you. And talk to us a little bit about other kinds of text. Can this plugin work with things like drop-down text or any other custom styles that are consistently applied, excuse me? Or would they need to be manually applied in Flare?
Your mileage may vary there, of course, but yeah, copying content using the copy selection as XHTML usually preserves that when you get it out of Flare. And then depending on which chatbot you use, which version you have, it sort of usually respects that as well. So yeah, the answer is yes, it works depending on what your chatbot can manage, right? ChatGPT does it very well, and Claude and Copilot too.
And that's a great question. What happens with cross-references and other Flare items, like a mini TOC or a proxy, when copying and pasting between Flare and a chatbot? Are they retained, or do they need to be recreated?
No, they would have to be recreated unless you copy it as XHTML. So there's currently, but put that in as a feature request if you want it. So if you have a talk proxy, of course that's not sort of populated when you work in Flare, but rather than when you built the topic. So it makes sense to, if you were to insert a proxy, yeah. I claim to be a Flare expert, but I can't find it right now. But if you insert it there, it's just a piece of XML. So if you use the AI helper plugin and you copy the selection or the topic as XHTML, that's going to go into your chatbot, and you can tell it to, please leave my talk proxy alone when you do these changes.
Very cool. And then, and for the purposes of the demo, I know you've been doing sort of file by file, but one question came in, is there a way to run that command on an entire folder or a collection of content files that you specify with the TOC? the correct grammar and structure.
You could do that. You could pick a bunch of topics, but you'd have to use the sort of the search and compile feature, and you can sort of search by folder name here, for example. So if you can search for content, you get all the content, all the files in the content folders. You can assemble it that way. It's not super effective getting it back though. So that is the trade-off. But this is if you're tied to using a chatbot in the browser and you want to go move between this and Flare, you got to do it one file at a time if you want to do the rewrite. Yeah. However, though, applying variables, this works for multiple topics. So you could use this outside of the AI helper as well. Of course, there's a built-in feature in Flare for this as well. But yeah.
Okay. A couple questions came in. How do we see this? I'm looking at my Flare and I don't see any of these cool plugins. How do I get them? And are they paid?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So looking at these on the top here, I mean, we've got the Kaizen plugin that is super free. You go to improvementsoft.com and put in your email address and you get a link to the installer. And it has a bunch of tabs: Kaizen plugin, cleanup, import, productivity. So you get 4 tabs for free, which is awesome. The Mad Quality plugin lets you check for consistency rules and language rules and so on. So if I were to run this on this topic with the default rules, it's going to process the topic and give me some telling me that PCB has no definition. You should use before instead of prior to, and so on. So there's that style stack plugin. Don't worry about that. But if you're interested, go to the website. But that's it. And then the AI helper and LLMs.txt, you get that from the AI helper plugin. Also from the website improvementsoft.com.
Right. And then once you download them, you can enable them from the options menu, correct? And Flare, maybe just give everybody a quick tour. Once we get it downloaded, how do we flip it on?
Yeah, of course. Download the installer, then close Flare first. Go to install it, open up Flare again, go to File, go to Options, and the Plugins tab down here. And you can enable or disable the plugins as you see fit.
Perfect.
So that's the way you do the install.
That's great. And then a question came in. How does it, can you talk a little bit about the Markdown export? So a couple questions came in about how does it handle certain elements. And so specifically, how does Markdown export output handle tables and how they're formatted?
Yeah, you know what? We could, we're not going to do a demo, of course, but yeah, it does handle the export of tables as well. It does. We could actually, you know what? We're in demo mode. We can do a table. So let's save this as HTML file table. Replace this. All right. So that means I went from Markdown to HTML, and now I have a table. And if I wanted to do this, go to Markdown again, I guess I have to build this topic. But I'm not going to do that now. But yeah, it does work. It produces Markdown supported tables for sure. And if it doesn't, just email me and I will make it happen.
And divs and images as well?
Divs are not supported by Markdown, so no divs in the Markdown output. It's just very, very clean output. Images, though, they come through. They're not embedded, but they're linked, so the image links come through and the exported Markdown. Yeah.
Okay. Another question came in about the LLM. Is there, and you were kind of touching on this, is there a way to always automatically create the LLM friendly Markdown files when building the output? So is there always automatically create? Okay, sorry.
Yeah, no, of course. Yeah, that's a great question too. So yeah, the way you would do that, it's not currently in the plugin, but now that I have the idea in my head, there's going to be a command line version of this. And so in that case, you would run your target and go to the Build Events tab and run this tool to generate the LLMs.txt file. So upcoming feature request. So thank you for that. Great idea.
Yeah. Could one use the AI plugin, to generate a topic from 2 similar topics, applying specified conditions to the differences? Oh, interesting.
Huh.
That would be
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good. I think you can do a lot of that work in the chatbot. So if we go back to this word, yeah. So generate one topic that's, I'm not sure if it's going to work. Actually, 2 topics using MadCap conditions, right? This is the way I would probably give it a try first. see if I can generate this in if I'm understanding the question correctly, that would give you some HTML that's different from, so you could have two topics in one. I'm not sure if I'm getting that question right, but that's the way I would do it.
For the prompt templates in AI Helper, switch to that. Why would we not want the snippets or variables?
Inside the templates there, well, you would always sort of want the snippets and variables there, I think. The problem is, though, when you just copy from Flare, maybe that's not a question. When you copy something from Flare that has a variable, it gets lost automatically if you're not using the copy selection button up here. Of course, then you process it in the chatbot, and the chatbot doesn't know it's a variable, right? So it's just going to rewrite the text, not knowing if the variable is, because in some cases, maybe the variable doesn't need to be there. If you're shortening a text and there's a variable for, something that's not a product name, maybe you don't need that. And so shortening it and removing it makes sense. But generally for product names, no, you want to keep the variables, and you can reapply them after you've imported the topic from the chatbot.
Okay. Question came in, does the AI Helper plugin work with Confluence? Our source files are written in Confluence, and we copy the finalized content into Flare. Most of the AI prompts would be applied to Confluence pages. Well, that's interesting. I wonder, Matthias, if it would be best to first just, using the importer from Flare, just to import the Confluence pages and first convert them to topics in Flare rather than copying and pasting.
Probably, yeah. That sounds like a good plan. Yeah.
Yeah, so perhaps import from Confluence, point to the pages, import them, and convert them to topics, and then perhaps use the AI helper to optimize the content.
Yeah.
Sorry, I lost my questions here. Oh, some questions came in about, AI Assist in Flare Desktop. So, this is, just to kind of reiterate for me, this is a fantastic plugin when we're working in Flare Desktop. This is bringing the power of generative AI to the desktop. If we're working in Flare Online, collaboratively online, that does have AI Assist, which is, I don't want to say similar to this, but it's the idea of using generative AI to write content, but in the Flare Online editor. So we don't have to go from, we're not going from the bot to the editor itself. So some of this, with Flare Online, due to its nature, can connect directly into ChatGPT, your version, your instance of ChatGPT. And we can use generative AI directly in that editor. So this is that solves a slightly different purpose because we're writing there in the editor and we're using the generative AI to, not have to go back and forth from the bot, insert it, rewrite it, compare differences, etc. This is specifically for helping us when we're in the desktop. So it's not necessarily an either or, they can work together. Would you say, Matthias? Would you agree?
Sorry, definitely. No, the main use case here is if you're tied to a specific chatbot because of your corporate environment, so you're not allowed to share your data with anything, right? So this is the sort of the compromise or workaround to bridge between that. Flare Online, of course, that works out of the box. But this is I don't want to say a band-aid, but this is a painkiller, right? For going between Flare Desktop and a chatbot when you're tied to a single chatbot. Yeah,
because we do a lot of heavy lifting in desktop still. So, right, that's not going away. So, question came in, how will it work with table formatting, for example? If we will write step and actions in table formats. Can it look inside the table content, or I don't know if you've tried that.
I haven't tried it, but my sort of initial guess is that for complex tables with a lot of different styles and so on, I would use the copy XHTML feature to do any sort of ask the AI to do any changes within that topic. So if you have a lot of XML text, a lot of classes, or maybe local styling, what have you, use the copy XHTML. Yeah.
Okay. And then another kind of on the same lines as, coming from something else, a question came in about, can this be useful for content migration from data?
Maybe if you go from Dida to Flare via the chatbot, then yes, of course. But in a bigger scale, I'm not sure if it would be efficient copy pasting content into the chatbot and then into Flare, of course. But definitely, I've seen a big project now where they're doing a conversion from a system that sort of database, and they want to go into Flare, and there's no real good way to convert it, so they're running it through an AI to do the conversion. Actually, I haven't heard about how it's been going yet, but yeah, certainly it's possible on a theoretical level.
I could also see some use case for, importing, if we're importing the data maps into Flare, just, to get the content in. Again, could it get us 80 to 90% of the way there? There might be some efficiencies gained by using the AI helper to clean it up or do what we want to do, helping us speed that up. But that could be a path as well, depending on the nature of the files and what's coming in, I suppose.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, yeah, let's see. I'm trying to see if I missed any questions here. Everybody is loving the Kaizen plugin. Maybe if you want to drop a comment in the question, what's your favorite feature? For those of you that are using the Kaizen plugin, what's your favorite feature? I'll start. My favorite one is the split long topics. I think in the spirit of, component-based writing, topic-based writing, sometimes we get in we have long topics, and it's hard to break out of that long topic mode. And so, particularly coming from Microsoft Word, for example, if you're doing an import, it's been a huge time saver for our teams. But the split long topics, I just had to give that a plug. If you're not using that now and you're trying to be a good content reuse citizen and a good single sourcing citizen, the smaller the topics, the better. And sometimes looking at your content and long topics feels like a wall of work. And this is quite helpful. So I don't know if you want to give that a quick little plug if you're not. So if anybody here on the call is not using it, again, this is free, the Kaizen plugin, correct?
Yep.
Get it downloaded, get it installed. It's quite useful. I don't know if you want to give that a little chat, Matthias, on how helpful that can be.
Yeah, no, of course, definitely. And there are a bunch of features in that plugin that you gotta try it out. There's something for everyone. My own personal favorite is there's a button with a clown face. It says open a random topic or snippet, and that's great for those like Friday afternoons when you're like completely fried, but you still want to do something useful. I just click this, and it opens up a random topic, and I can see if it fits the style guide or do some random editing and so on. So that's sort of the favorite one. And also, of course, there is copy path to clipboard. So if you have a topic open, you click copy path to clipboard. That gets you the exact topic the path to this topic. I'm just going to paste it in so you can see. And that allows you to open this up quickly in, say, a different editing tool if you need that, or if you would need to attach it to an email or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Another, looks like we have some other comments here. Some of the XML validation tools within the plugin have saved hours of time for folks, and also just tidying up, perhaps poorly formed HTML or some sort of constructs that don't really lend themselves well to reuse and things. So those seem to be the favorites amongst the community.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah.
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 All right. Well, also a question came in. Can you talk a little bit about security with these plugins?
Yeah, of course. I mean, in terms of what they connect to, they don't connect to anything. They check the version, and they check the license. Otherwise, there's no data collected. I'm not looking at what you're clicking on. No data goes out of the plugins at all. And of course, for the AI helper, it's the AI helper. It's not. There's no AI connection to it, so no data leaves Flare from these plugins. I can say that much.
Yeah. Well, great. Maybe what we could do then, I know there's been a few, we'll kind of collect all these questions and comments and clean them up. I know I tried to cover as many as I can. We've got about a few minutes left. So we will be sending out a question and answer document and getting in touch with you. So if we didn't answer your question live, I'm so sorry, but we'll certainly follow up. But I just want to direct everybody back to Matthias's website, which is improvementsoft.com. Some great information there. And I know, Matthias, you're very, kind with your time to the community. So if you have any questions directly on any of these things, I know you'd be happy to connect with the community here. So
Definitely, definitely.
that would be great. Well, I want to thank everybody for coming today. Thank you, Matthias, for sharing this and your time. We're
Thank
so
you.
grateful. This is really, really fun. And we hope you all found this helpful. Let us know if you have any suggestions or comments in the future for future webinars. We would love to hear it. And yeah, please get in touch with us and get in touch with Matthias directly. Happy to chat with you about this. But these plugins are great. We love them. So thanks. Keep them coming.
Thank you for having me. Yeah.
All right. Well, hey, everybody, have a great rest of your day, and we hope to see you on another presentation soon. Take care, everybody.